Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio this morning? Maybe we might. Thanks, Jim. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is Monday, the 26th of June, and we've certainly had an interesting morning this morning. Um, my goodness, these markets have really moved. Uh, I hope everybody paid close attention to their apex indicators because these things were just, oh, they were wonderful this morning. The indices all kind of fiddled around this morning and went up a little bit, and then they really sold off hard uniformly. The interesting thing is the VIX did not rise as this uh, sell-off occurred. There's some profit taking right now. There has been for about, no, I don't know, an hour, which is typical. Doesn't mean it won't go on down into the close either, but at least coming into the noon hour, some of those contracts were getting unwound. Anyway, lots of we had movement in virtually all the markets this morning. I've checked to see what caused all this sudden stuff, and I don't know. You know, they want to. The media keeps trying to put this onto some bunch of political nonsense, but I'm not sure that's what it is. This is the last week of the uh, trading month of June, as well as the last week of this second quarter, as well as the last week of the half of the year. So I think I talked about this on Friday to expect this week we could see a lot of big money moving around, and that seems to be the case. Uh, Lots of money is getting pushed here, there, and everywhere. Anyway, the indices, I think, uh, of what I've got up, uh, YM was a little bit less than the other two in its in its zeal to move, but the NQ really moved, and so did the ES. Some nice moves, and I wanted to show you a couple things on crude oil. Gold has been hovering. It took a nice run up about oh, I don't know, 8:30 on the early morning news, and then it went up to the minus 1.5 deviation level. That 1238 that gold came off of, that is a significant level for gold. But it got up here to this minus 1.5 deviation level, and gold has been hovering there since 9 o'clock. And it just, talk about a chop box. If you want to see a chop box, that certainly is a good one. I would drag my chart over, but I've got some different stuff we're testing on that chart. So, and to try and not confuse people any more than necessary, I'll just leave it alone. But bonds also had a nice run up, and they have been. I've got a 3-tick diagnostic on ZB up, and since 9:30 on 3-tick diagnostic bars, it is still on the third bar. It's been on that bar forever. and it shows no signs of wanting to get out of there. On a 30-minute chart, it's been in chop for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Uh, so if and when it ever breaks out of there, I'm not sure that's going to happen today. Might happen overnight. Anyway, if you are trying to kind of figure out the apex pattern stuff, I thought I'd show you on this gold chart. This morning, it had a whole bunch of, we've been seeing green E's. I've got mine changed to blue just so I can see them on this background right here. But it was, crude oil was painting green E's right in here. But once it cleared settlement, everything turned around. It decided to change the landscape here. And it turned this first bunch of apex, the first apex that forms when it changes direction like this is now a lighter color. So you don't, used to be we'd have to scroll back to figure out if we did have a trend change. If we get a red E coming off of this major magnet up here, might go on down to settlement at least, and it could go farther. But one of the things that you notice, if you look at this 30-minute chart over here, this is a huge red sell zone here. I mean, this thing above this goes from about 43.80-ish to about 44.20. That is a big, big, big sell zone, and we never got enough to push on through there. So if it does push through here sometime this week, crude oil might turn around. It's in a kind of a bottoming thing down here, and it's 42.50-ish. It's been there. It's tried this now for about 3 or 4 sessions. But anyway, one of the reasons that I have this 6-tick IZSS chart, or alchemy, this is an alchemy, I find alchemy a little easier to see, is when this right down here, we're right in this area on the 12-tick chart, but when it cleared this MVP triangle right here with everything lined up according to the rules, this really, it had a lot of space to run till it hit the this big trend flip up here. And it doesn't take a heck of a lot of room on crude oil to give you some positive ticks for your tick bank. So this from about 42.80, I don't know, 90, something like that, 42.90. Even if you got out up here at the trend flip, which lo and great behold happens to be about where this power line is. And of course this is an old previous week's big magnet right here. But these bus drivers know exactly where all these levels are. And once you develop your eye to figuring out what's easy for you to see, it makes it so much easier to have these deviation levels and the power lines and the days high and low and these zones, because right in where Brendan, if you mouse over your HotCom icon on your desktop or system tray or whatever it is, you'll see the charts that are on the cloud, and then there's a crude oil workspace. The other thing I wanted to point out to everybody today is if you got in this trade going down, which I did, and once it left settlement right here, the question is where's it's going to go? And the histogram, I mean, it went to where the volume dried up on the previous session, literally to the tick. This is, I knew, I felt very confident that it was going to this red ice level right here. But when you look at this histogram right down here at 60, 42, 69, or 70, it ran out of volume in the previous session. I mean, this is very, very low volume. So that's a safe bet if you put your take profit a couple of ticks above that. Those things can work out very, very well for you. So anyway, it's a matter of you just have to keep looking at this stuff. So the VIX, I thought maybe when this sell-off in all these indices started, the VIX might start to move up, but it isn't even up to 10. It's trading 991 right now. That's insane. And let's see, tomorrow morning, I think we've had a lot of the news releases that we're going to have for the month. The numbers. If you trade the 6B early in the morning, the governor of the Bank of England is going to speak, and they're putting out their financial reports about 5:30 or 6 in the morning, so you might want to pay attention to that. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we're going to have the CB Consumer Confidence. And that might be pretty interesting, given that the retail sales numbers were not nearly what they had forecast or expected them to be. So at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, I would kind of pay attention to that. There are many things being worked on, I can assure you. The testing crowd is in practically an overdrive. But one of the things we've got coming that's going to be really cool when we do get moved over to Ninja 8 is you can put up a little window right out of NinjaTrader with all the news events on it. So it's really helpful to have that kind of in front of your face, because I know they're there, etc. But then you start watching something else and you kind of lose track of what time it is exactly to the minute. The euro's selling off right now against the dollar, so I'm not sure for the Nadex traders if you can get any premium out of that. The move, though, has likely happened to be able to take advantage of that thing. This week, just stay alert. There are a lot of things that can happen, and Monday kind of gets it started when it's the last week of the month, the quarter, and the half. It does this kind of stuff for the last week of December, too. So anyway, it is summertime. The afternoon volume can drop off quite a bit. But some of these big hedge fund managers and mutual fund managers and all this kind of stuff, they've got a lot of stuff they need to get accomplished this week. And then, of course, they'll take off and won't come back until after Labor Day. But anyway, I just wanted to remind people too, if you're new and this room is everything's a little confusing at first. We all know that because the reason we know that is because we've all been in your shoes before. But in order to learn this, the very fastest, best way you can learn this is to get real familiar with Jing. And when you capture a chart on Jing, you need to go all the way from the upper, not just the background part in here. That's not going to catch it. You need to go from the complete upper left-hand corner of that chart all the way to the complete lower left-hand corner. That's what you need to capture to post in the room. And if you can capture that and learn to mark those up with what your question is or where your entry and your exit, and did you do that right or did you miss something? I think it was Brendan, I'm not positive, posted a chart and we can't see, there's something, you've got the chart set up wrong and we can't tell you what to do with it because we don't have full capture of that chart from the upper left-hand corner. But it looks like if you're listening to this, Brendan, what it looks like to me is that you are trying to mix, you're trying to put one of the indexes, I think it was the ES, on a Forex chart, and that will not work. It requires different internal settings on that chart because it's two entirely, completely different animals. So if you'll capture that chart and put it back in here, then you can get some help. You're having difficulty understanding that ES chart because it's not set up right in the first place. Okay? So everybody's in here to help, and if you don't get an answer to your question, it's because people are trading, especially in the morning. But this is a really good time now because it's all very slow. It's kind of slowed down. Might stay that way, but this is a great time